My name is Rachel Cohen. Grew up in Philadelphia. Started playing tennis around the age of 7 or 8. Played juniors, played high school tennis all 4 years.
Hmm.
Uh, got a full athletic scholarship to East Carolina University. Uh, Played there. Found my love of doubles,
Ah, good.
definitely while I was there. I'm not saying being the number one singles player in 4 years of high school, but we don't get a lot of that. So going to NCAA doubles finals was very exciting. And my partner was 6'1" and I'm 5'2". So it was a nice balance. And so actually I was in veterinary medicine for 24 years. Chemotherapy and radiation, but I've always competed, loved teaching, and did a career change about 3 years ago. And I currently work at Frog Hollow Racquet Club, and I coach the Germantown Academy girls varsity team in the fall.
But when you decided, or did it was decided for you by the game, how did tennis just jump in your heart and go, this is cool?
The mental part of it. I've seen it. You can have the most talent in the world, and if physically, but mentally, and I think that with every sport. But
Right.
because I've played sport since I was 2 years old, so I've played every sport. I mean, I'm competitive in shooting pool, in I mean, anything it is. But
Right. Right.
that's to me is especially with doubles for me is how can I figure out what to do. I mean, that is, again, you can have the greatest forehand in the world, but if you don't know the right time and the right place to use it, that's it. You're done. And I think that's definitely a huge part of the sport and every sport.
Well, I can kind of relate that when I was coaching and I had a doubles player or doubles team that wasn't performing up to what I thought they should have been able to do. It's like, you guys are looking at it the wrong way. It's not how you do anything, it's how you think about what you're doing. Pay attention to what the other team's doing, and really paying attention, why are you hitting the ball to him?
Right.
If it happened once, okay. But if it happened 7 times in a row, it's like, hit it where he's not. How hard is that?
Yep. And I've always said that, the being afraid of being passed down the line or being lobbed. Those are the two things that everyone says, well, what if? Well, what if? Those are very low percentage shots.
Right.
And everybody's lob is someone else's overhead. So we forget that
right.
Exactly. This is
Exactly.
an automatic, and you give them one or two. But there's the dread.
Right.
It keeps happening. Then how about we figure out a way to take it away from them? I mean, when
right,
I'm quoting from Moneyball, but when they're giving you mistakes, don't stop them. I mean, it's
right.
Run with it. That's and also getting into their head mentally. It's you sometimes you have to fake it on your end, and smile when you miss, because
right. Well, we would see kids that were hitting bombs of serves, first serves, and they're blasting off the back fence. I tell my kids, great, move in, daring to hit them in the court. Now, if he's hitting aces on every ball that he hits in, but he's only hitting 18% of them in, you're winning.
That's where I've always said first serve percentage is more important than miles per hour at some point.
Right.
Or it's a change up. I mean, and with signaling. So.
Right.
And I'm left-handed in sports, but right-handed in everything else. But a lot of times, I always say take lefty, righty, forehand, backhand out of it, because you don't know. I mean, people with two-handers on both sides. I mean, I have a better backhand volley than forehand volley. I have a better, so we assume a lot that to me, warm-up isn't about your warm-up. It's about gathering information.
Exactly.
Some people I talk to say, but I don't want to show them how I play. They'll know. They're going to know in 5 minutes anyway. But
right.
You try out different spins. Did they run for it?
Right.
Was it a short ball? Did they run up and quickly scoot back? Some people don't take overheads. They don't want to be at net.
Right. You can see that right away. Exactly.
Right. So, and then you pass that information on to your partner and vice versa. But that's the thing with the warm up too. And, tournaments, 5 minutes, that's not the time that you're going to get into the rhythm. That's your time to assess.
Right.
And
exactly. Well, you say you hit a super top forehand just to see what their eyes do. Do they go, what happened? Or do they just go, oh, and it bounces over their head? Like, okay, I know, put that in the memory bank. I can use that later.
Right. I mean, and I have, again, being a lefty, have some advantage of knowing where my spin's going to go and knowing they don't know where it's going to go. But, even with, the top spin, is going to curve into their right side, and I'm going to keep doing it until they can keep trying to run around it and hit the forehand, but it's, and almost being the teacher in me, I say you should be hitting backhands, but I'm not obviously do that in a match. But I think too nowadays everything's power, but
right,
hitting the ball 130 miles an hour isn't the only thing. I mean, you need a lot of more tools in your toolbox. I was taught that very young, being small. I wasn't going to overpower people, but I was taught a drop shot. I was scrappy. I wasn't acing many people, but I spin a lot and moving people. I always was a fan of the third step because I knew they got tired before me.
Right.
And
right.
But there's that talk with the 10-point tiebreaker, and I personally would like to play it out, but that's just
right. So when we morph from being a singles player to a doubles player, and we had this conversation texting back and forth, people don't quite grasp that there is a difference being a doubles player, or there's a mentality that's different playing doubles. When did that shift occur to you? That you said, oh, now I'm a doubles player, or now I understand doubles?
I want to say when I really clicked with a partner, a mixed partner.
Okay.
Where actually wasn't a mix, it was another, where it was the type of situation where any ball, if she missed a poach, I was right there. We knew exactly if a ball went by her. I knew where it was. She knew where I was going to get it, and it flowed. And the communication is huge. And when you don't have it, it's a very tough game to play. Yeah. I mean, I love it when my opponents are annoyed at each other.
Right.
That's when I say to my partner, let's go. I mean, that's the time and I always tell people, if you're winning, well, you shouldn't be able to tell if you're winning or losing by walking by, but you, maybe not nowadays, but you slap hands whether you miss or you make. And that's
right.
To me, the most important thing, and to be able to be willing to accept suggestions, and not mechanical, but all right, we're not winning the deuce point no matter what. Like, I'm not helping you up here. I've got to do something different.
Right.
because again, it's not working. How, was it something 3 times and it doesn't work is the definition of insanity. So how about it can't hurt, to change it up. And
Right.
to me, it's just it's such a thinking game. It really is. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say as lonely, but you do, I'm a chatter. So it's also,
Right.
it is nice to take, it can help with some of the pressure too, or can hurt depending on your partner. But again, having partners that you really connect with, that's what got me was,
Well, what I found was when you're not out there alone, you can't sink or swim with each shot. You can't sink or swim with each play, because you have somebody else that either they have to back you up or you have to back them up or get them up. So you're like, okay, all right, I got it. Okay, I'll fix it, because now you have someone else relying on you and you're relying on somebody else. Whereas in singles, it's like, not to say you tank a match, but basically you're like, well, I'm done. Mentally you might check out. You can't do that in a doubles match.
Right. You're not being set up. You're setting yourself up. Right. But it's, and that's the thing, is the setting up. Figuring, that's the thing, is strategies. There's so many, to me, more in doubles. I mean, I formation, Australian, in singles, you'll get
the ball, right?
Right. You still don't have the alleys. You still,
right.
And if I try to hit with someone, I'm still, wait, I don't have the alleys. I mean, those
right.
are, but, and especially going back and forth, I think the mentality is definitely different. Again, you're serving every other game. It's just a whole different mindset. And when you get a little older, singles is a little bit tougher.
Right. It takes a little more to cover the court, exactly.
But
all right, so we get out of college, we've done well, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to join the real world, which almost
you're active for 13 years,
right? So you say the real world, and we've all tried to join the real world. Some of us have done it successfully, some of us haven't, and we think that that's why we went to college, was to go do this thing now. What made you say, you know what? I missed that.
Well, okay. So after 13 years of not playing, golfing instead, it was tough in the beginning. Going from juniors to adults was a huge, the behavior I thought was going to be a little more mature. And the adult tennis world is intense. I mean, it really is. And in the beginning, for me, it was very difficult. I had in my head that everyone's going to think of how I used to be. Right. What if I'm not that way? And it was written in the papers. Everybody knew I went to college, and
right.
I struggled. I debated on doing it. I got the yips for a few months, which is, sure but I mean, is a feeling that it's tough. It's not fun. So at some point I said, look, your whole life, or, college started to become not fun anymore.
Right.
No reason to do this if I'm not enjoying myself.
Right.
And trust me, I am competitive but I don't mind losing if I go out and play the way I want it. that, and not tight and not having fun. I think when we were younger, you were put into tournaments by your parents, and
Right.
you didn't sign up, but I'd say the banging of the racket or the curse, things like that.
Right.
And you don't get free rackets anymore, but
You have to learn to control that, right?
Right. But it should be a place where you go to forget everything else.
Right. Right.
And for me, if I couldn't do that, then I wasn't going to go back. And that's where I actually started to play more doubles. I realized, and I was good at it, and I loved teaching it, like having my partner. To me, I could talk hours and hours.
Well, when we're talking about that competitive edge, I can give you an example from me. My final high school match, I was on a roll, and I was just knocking people away, and I played some little doofus freshman from some small school in the middle of nowhere. Never heard of him, never heard of what was going on. I'm like, no problem. Going towards the state tournament. And I hit, 3 aces and a service winner in the first game. I'm serving first. I'm like, this is going to be easy. Those may have been the last points I won the rest of the match. I lost 1 love. I made 4 mistakes, 4 unforced errors the entire match, and got crushed. And at first I was upset. Then I realized you're not always going to be the best player. You're not always going to be the best. So if you gave your all and you played well, you got to learn to deal with that. And that's tough when you're competitive, like you said. But once you realize that, you can go on to play adult beer league tennis and still have fun. But that's a tough thing to accomplish. Right?
There's people that are just better.
Right.
Or on that day.
Right.
But, and then that's the mental thing, though, too, is you know who you're playing first. I've seen matches lost before somebody stepped on the court.
Right.
And it's almost, and I've done the same, but I've played my best tennis against people I've never met in my life. Because, again, what if she gives me that lob that I can't stand when,
yep.
And she has a pancake grip that hits a winner, and there's people you dread to play, but that's where I have to teach a lot of people. They're adults or high school. They'll say, well, we know we're playing these people. What do we do? I'm like, first of all, you need to calm down.
Right.
Because you're already past a point. You have your strokes. During a match isn't time for mechanical. We're not fixing things.
Right.
And, say a W is a W. I think a lot of people want it to look pretty, and it doesn't always.
A win is a win, right?
And you're not, I always say, you're not going to love every shot at all. You're not going to love everything you hit. You're, a shank. Those are some of the best winners, but you're not. But you take, Roger Federer, when he was number 1 7 years ago, he won 52% of the points.
Right.
So you're going to lose. I mean, that's the thing is, if you expect to go out there and not lose the point, or, I don't know many golden sets that have happened. And
my brother and I were talking about that very thing this morning. You have to expect to lose a point. You're not going to win every point of every match. It's not possible. I don't think I've ever seen it done. At least
LeBron's going to miss a foul shot. I mean, it's, and that's where I also say there's no such thing as an easy shot in tennis.
Right.
Because everyone says, oh, that was so easy. Well, sometimes the more time you have, the tougher it is, actually. So that sitter up there that, we all watch on TV and say, how does he miss it? Well, you know how he misses it. We all do.
Yeah.
And that's, but it's, it's a fun game. It's a funny game. And it's just an interesting game. And it's, I'd say, well, the only sport that you can't, basically your error gives them the point.
Right.
So in basketball, if you miss the 3-pointer, they don't get 3 points. I mean,
right.
It's nothing. So errors are you're giving away. And that's also I say with double faulting. Just get it in if you're having a hard time.
Right. Just get it in, right.
And
make them have to make the next play. Right.
Right. And I always said one more ball, one more over the net. It gives them one more chance to miss it. I mean, yeah, and they've got an overhead sitter. It doesn't mean it's gonna be a winner.
It took probably 15 years of playing to realize I didn't have to bounce out every overhead to make it effective. It took a while. It's going to blast this one and bounce it out of the court. That's how you win the point. Or you just knock it off. But it took me a while to figure that one out.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see how you evolve.
Yeah, and it's fun to destroy one every once in a while. It's just to take it. But we would always joke in a lot of our clinics is when an adult who tried to kill everything and would hit it nice and soft off to the, and well, that's a very mature shot. It's tough. It's just you get excited, and but in playing mixed, I always feel but you don't have to serve 120 miles an hour every time. I think that's, I see with the man woman a little, but I'll say, God, give them your kick serve.
Right.
I mean, they're blocking back the 120. I mean, it's
right.
That's the gender. I mean, that's where, partners, that is to be able to say, she hasn't been able to get that kick serve out to her backhand this whole time, but you're insisting on acing her.
And to kick him off the court, leave me with an entire wide open court, I'll finish the point for you.
Or even if I off-pace a serve to a guy and he curtains it, keep doing it. I mean, he doesn't want the touch. I don't. Look, go for it. I mean, you must take someone's head off, but I mean, it's the thing that you don't have to kill every shot. And that's the thing. At some point, both people are as strong as each other. You have to have something else.
So when we get to the point where now we're saying, let's teach it, are there any things that, I'm trying to be as politically correct here as I possibly can, because I see some things that, what do you look at and say, this we need to fix, this we need to leave alone? Is there anything that's a universal thing that you say, okay, all these things you can do, but don't do this?
Grip changes I stay away from. Unless I'm going to say kids serving with a continental grip. But if I have an adult, my parents play. My mom's 74, my dad's 76 today. I taught her many times, and you have to fine tune what she already has. That I would not take her and give her a Western grip to get more topspin, or I would perfect what they have already. because they've been doing it for so long that I don't want to say they won't have the time, but to be able to do it. But I mean, they say it takes 30 hours to make a new shot feel natural.
Right.
So I
And
have
if
an
you're
hour,
playing an hour a week, right?
29 more hours for that to actually even not, you have to think about a grip or think about, I've seen some very, awkward serving motions, but it works.
Right.
It's just their toss is always off, and that's the only reason they miss their serve. But I've had people bounce and jump in the air, and but I don't care what that looks like. It's what are you getting out of it, and
right.
And also injury prevention for me is big. I hear a lot of people with my tennis elbow, shoulder. Immediately, I look at their strokes, and
right.
to be able
right.
to help for them to be able to come back and say my elbow doesn't hurt at all is, I mean, that's the thing is unfortunately doing bad habits for so long, but to try to change them, so they can continue to play. And so that's where with the injuries, I almost saying I like to take on those people, but I do, because it's more thinking and more work and how I can get them pain-free and actually play better tennis.
Well, when you walk onto the court and the first thing they have to do is pop an Advil, then put on a wrap, then get somebody like, wait a second.
And another brace another brace.
Right. Let's analyze what's causing this first. And it's not like exactly. It's not like I want to change everything, but if your arm feels like it's going to fall off, maybe this forehand isn't for you.
Right.
If you
and that's the thing is I make sure, I'll ask. I do a lot of hand feeding where I can't be that close, but
right.
I look, to me, and it's interesting because I've only been teaching for a few years, but I very analytical. I look at everything, and the first thing when I look at strokes, I look at their feet.
Yeah.
Their feet is, for me, a lot of them cross over, and then there is no way their legs or core can engage. So their arm, it's only their arm. And when I have them do a little something different with their feet, they're like, oh my God.
How did that happen?
How did that? I mean, of course, contact point out in front. It's easy to say, and I know everybody learns differently, and so do I. So figuring that out also is, is it for me to explain it? Should I show them? Being left-handed, it's easier for me to teach righties.
Right.
To mirror them.
Right.
That's how my brother taught me golf, was, mirroring across from someone. So it's also, people are working too hard to get the result. They're running 5 miles behind the baseline to get somewhere instead of a step up. So figuring out, was it a short ball or was it an angled ball?
Right.
And so it's, I'm trying to make it as easy. Don't make it tougher than it has to be.
Well, and you mentioned something that I run across all the time. It's like, okay, I want to hit the ball over there, but my feet and my body are pointing that way. And you say, well, why did you do that? I don't know. Well, doesn't it make sense that you point in the direction where you're trying to hit the ball? I never thought of it. How did you never think of it?
I don't think, and that's also, I ask a lot of people, so where are you going to serve? They're like, in the box. They said, what do you mean put it somewhere? I said, how about we give it a shot? And look at, they're like, I'm lucky if I get it in. And and actually that was something that helped my serve a lot with signals. Even if I didn't go there,
Right.
accidentally, it gave me something else
Something to do, right?
to think about. And, I'd say, fine if they're righty deuce, the tee, and they're hitting it still out by the alley. I said, aim for the box next to it. They're like, all the way over there? I said, well, if you're going that many feet here,
Yeah.
and they're
right.
there, and because a lot of people want to move their toss. And the toss, again, I can tell that's the speech is you can have the most beautiful motion, the greatest knee bend, but if your toss is off by a millimeter, done.
Right.
The one thing we've all been told to go home, practice your toss, and that will kill the serve. And the tossing arm is the tight arm that gets tight.
And the one thing that I always use is like, okay, how much does this ball weigh? 5-6 pounds? No. Then why are you making this so hard?
And everyone always says, why is this so difficult? It's for 40 years you've been,
right, yeah.
And, it's not going so far backwards to say, how do I hold the ball? I mean, it's, and even slowing down to see where it comes off your fingers. I said to your fans like this, you wonder why it's going so far in front. And, we've all been told that. But
well, but see, maybe some of us haven't been, because here's what I'm seeing is that the technical aspect of what you're talking about, or breaking things down, I have usually about a 2-hour debate with my brother on a daily basis about the same thing. And not really a debate, we're on the same side, but we're like, why are they doing this? Why don't they go like, I don't know. You're the one teaching them. Teach them the right way. But they don't, okay. Because some of the people out there, and I'm not saying it's a majority, but some of the people are, let's hit a lot of balls and run around and everyone will be happy. Instead of saying, let's break it down so you hit a lot of balls better, then you'll be even happier. That's what I always look at it.
The frustrating thing is, well, I get it in though every time. But they want help with it to be better. But then, okay, when I say you're not in a continental grip, so there's no possible way you can come across, then they get in a continental and miss of course, I say you're gonna miss
the first 5, right?
I'm like, it's going to go, and they do it. And they're like, forget it. I was getting them in before. Then I don't know. I then let's keep going. You're gonna
go back, yeah.
And I always say too, if you think your toss is way too high, it's probably perfect. Because I mean, to see some of them that are, I said, if you can't extend your arm, it's not high enough.
Right. You're trying to scrape it off the top of your head. Right.
Right. And, and you don't have enough time. And, again, the rules, they all apply for every stroke. To me in tennis is you've got to be sideways and you've got to coil. And if you don't on any of them, forget it. I mean, and it's all, legs are bigger muscles than your arms. Your arms are going to go, and the second your legs go, that's it.
Well, you mentioned something about having a 6'1" partner, you being 5'2". I had a team that was 6'5". Okay, sorry. I had a doubles team that was 6'10" and 6'4", and they were newbies, but they were 6'10" and 6'4". Yeah. And I tried to get them to understand. Great. Now get low. The only way this helps you is if they're trying to lob over you, or you're hitting the ball straight down.
Say at that point, lobbing, I know is going to be under the,
Right. But if they hit the ball down below the net, being 6'10" doesn't help you much. So, like you said, you have to get low, you have to coil, like you said, you have to explode through the ball. Being tall is helpful, but being more efficient is better.
Right. And I always used to think growing up, well, bend my knees more. The ball's not low. I mean, you know, like
No, I know.
I'm already here, but that's also saying it to them by
Right.
saying, you know, the ball, you don't have to bend your knees to be able to scrape it off the ground. They should be bent regardless of the height of the ball.
Right.
And that's the thing too, is when someone says, well, it's not that low. You know, I'm not giving you slice on clay. So
Right.
why do I have to get my knees down? But even to watch Federer serve, I mean, his knee bend is unbelievable. I mean, and that's, you know, ask people, you know, do you want to have a shoulder in
Right.
5 years, 10 years? And you know, I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's just no legs whatsoever, you know, and in general with everything, every single shot, it's legs and core, and without it, the arm goes. I mean, it really, I mean, better now with lighter rackets, but
it's still tough, right?
Yeah, and try no, I mean, your serve, no legs there. It's just everything, unfortunately. So that's why I always say, you know, we do these little sprints and these little you know, it's those quick feet. I mean, tennis was basically the original form of high interval intensity training. You're not running, you know, short bursts, but that builds up a lot in those legs. So I think training also is, you know, important, how to train.
Okay. Well, Rachel, I appreciate you being on. I'm sorry about the internet connection, but we'll make it look as nice as we possibly can.
Thank you. I could go on forever.